From Margazan to Marshall, Fox Lake to Fall River, Watertown to Waupun, and everywhere in between, we're talking about what's important in your hometown. This is Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
No, not for outdoor stuff. I think tomorrow's supposed to be the rainiest day.
Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome to Hometown Today here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Amy Hudson here with you in the Slumberland. We'll have a good conversation with these two gentlemen as we learn more about the Dodge County Historical Society and even hear some ghost stories about the building throughout our conversation. As I was making my way into the studio this morning, I heard Wade and Sherry talking about how yesterday we had received even more donations for the Playground Movement Beaver Dam, and that today is the last day for you to get your donations throughout locations throughout Beaver Dam, specifically here at 100 Bill McCullum Way. We are collecting cans of mixed vegetables. And when I came through the door, I was like, wow, Wade wasn't exaggerating. A ton of food out there. It's so great to see. And our goal is to collect 125 cans of mixed vegetables as we try to help Playground Movement Beaver Dam collect food for 125 families, food for a week for a family of 4. You can follow Playground Movement Beaver Dam on Facebook, get the complete list of all of those drop-off locations. And again, today is the last day for those donations, and you can bring your cans of mixed vegetables here at 100 Bill McCullum Way until 4:30. We'll be checking in with Sandy at McKinstry's Home Furnishings later this morning on Hometown Today. They have their big 166th anniversary sale happening, so we'll get some details on that and check in with Sandy. We haven't talked to her for a while, so looking forward to hearing about how things went with her at the High Point Market here a couple of weeks ago when Rick was holding down the fort at McKinstry's Home Furnishings. Hometown Today brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings and presented by Professional Floor Covering Your Floor and so much more. And it's so much more because they can help you with things in addition to flooring throughout your home. They definitely have that covered with top brands for every look and need throughout your home, whether it's LVP, that luxury vinyl plank that you're looking for, maybe it's porcelain tile, hardwood, carpet, of course, or area rugs. They also have a nice selection of area rugs for you, and they can even customize those for you. And Randy and the team at Professional Floor Covering will also make it easy for you to upgrade your kitchen and renovate the bathroom. You do not have to put those projects off any longer. Kitchen cabinets with quality customized craftsmanship available for you at Professional Floor Covering. They're going to function well for you, give you that longevity for a lifetime. And once you get those new kitchen cabinets and the new flooring, well, you need a new countertop. And they have a great selection of countertop options for you too, between granite, laminate, solid surface, quartz, all that good stuff. Professional Floor Covering your floor and so much more. Check out the beautiful showroom at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam, and of course online all the time at PROFLR.com. We will start our conversation with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society in just a few minutes here on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
When the
Floor covering, welcoming you back to Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Good morning. Happy Friday. We are launching into the weekend here on Hometown Today. Amy Hudson in the Summerland Furniture Studios and also streaming live this morning on Daily Dodge TV at dailydodge.com. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. And looking forward to checking in with Sandy next hour from McKinstry's Home Furnishings. We'll find out how everything is coming along with their big celebration, their 166th anniversary sale, and also getting the update as to some of the cool things Sandy had a chance to check out a few weeks ago when she was at the High Point Market. Looking forward to kicking off our conversation with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society. The Dodge County Historical Society is dedicated to the preservation, advancement, and dissemination of the knowledge and history of Dodge County, Wisconsin, specifically Beaver Dam. And Kurt Sampson has been the curator there for 16 years. So welcome and good morning, Kurt. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And Patrick, you've been involved since 1991.
Yes, that seems like a long time, but in some ways it seems like just yesterday. So,
oh, I bet. Really appreciate you being here with us this morning on Hometown Today. We have a lot of things that we want to cover this morning, and let's just kick off with one of the basic things: the history of the Dodge County Historical Society, how long it's been around, why it's so important for us to have as a resource here in Dodge County.
Well, it's amazing that the people at the time, because it started in 1938, and they had the foresight to think, there were a lot of wonderful things that happened in Beaver Dam, and they started preserving things. And when they first started asking people to bring in artifacts, they just came forward and brought all kinds of things. So it ended up being in a storage in a person's house, and then eventually they ended up with a room on the second floor of what in the downtown area people refer to it many times as the Gergen Law Office building. But that building itself has a lot of history, and we can talk about that a little bit later.
Okay. But
on the second floor of the building is where the Dodge County Historical Society first started in 1938. And then it was there for a number of years, and they were able to move into the train station, which is now the Chamber.
Yeah.
And that was in 1953. And then from there, in 1985, we took charge of the former Williams Free Library. And we are happy to be there because we're so proud of that building. And it really is an icon for the city of Beaver Dam and also all of Dodge County. When it was built, it was considered one of the most spectacular buildings in south central Wisconsin. And we can talk about that later as well. But they've had a number of great places. I think about the railroad depot and all the history with that. But if that's where we were today, we would have had to have rented several storage garages because we keep getting artifacts all the time, and we say all the time we've seen it all, and we keep thinking, okay, this is one of the coolest things ever, and then next week something else will come in that we never expected. Some new artifact that is just, we're all just have to stop and look at it and say, wow.
What are some of those artifacts that really stop you in your tracks and make you think and say, wow, like this is incredible? Because you have both permanent exhibits and then special exhibits.
Exactly.
There.
Well, just about anything that comes through the door is really amazing to us, especially if it is tied to the city of Beaver Dam. Just recently, we got a 1928 wood-burning stove that I had never seen one of those before.
I've never either, right.
And didn't even know that Monarch Corporation had even made this particular type of stove. And years ago, they used to actually call these, they had an alternative name that years ago people used to call them garbage burners. Because you think about it, years ago, garbage was a real issue for people. There wasn't a collection system like we have in the modern times. So oftentimes people were digging pits in their backyard and throwing garbage in their backyards or burning it in barrels. And then Monarch Corporation developed a stove heating element that would actually help to burn garbage, and also you'd be able to use it to cook food on top of it too if you wanted to, or warm up water. But Yeah, we have a lot of just amazing things in the museum that stretch way back to the earliest days of Beaver Dam and Dodge County history into the early 1840s, and we have one of the better Native American collections in this part of the state on our balcony in the museum. And when we were founded in 1938, the initial purpose was to collect early settler artifacts and some of the earliest artifacts from the founding families of the city of Beaver Dam. Mm-hmm. People like the Thomas Mackey and Browers and the Hoyt family and people like that. And so we have a lot of really interesting early settler artifacts, things that people use in everyday life that are common artifacts, but the antiquity of them themselves make them special. And we have Beaver Dam's very first car, a 1903 Rambler. Yeah. That a lot of people didn't know this, but Beaver Dam didn't actually have any kind of paved streets until 1911. And so we have the Rambler in our possession. And a lot of history about Beaver Dam is unique because it's kind of like this weird vortex of having a lot of famous people that came from the city of Beaver Dam.
Absolutely.
Like significantly famous people. People like Fred McMurray.
Yeah.
And we've redone a lot of our exhibits over the last 4 years or so. And one of the things that kind of was an impetus towards that was COVID. When COVID kind of hit, unfortunately, we were able to, we were required to kind of shut down for a while, and we used that opportunity to update and streamline a lot of our existing permanent exhibits and kind of bring them, up to into the modern era, so to speak. So there have been a lot of changes down at the museum, especially on the first floor, or actually on every floor. Really.
Every floor,
Yeah.
right.
And our biggest project recently is a complete teardown and redo of our military exhibit, which we just completed. And we're going to be having an open house for the veterans on May 9th, which is a Thursday evening, where we invited the American Legion and some area veterans to come and view the exhibit first, in honor of the veterans. And then from that point forward, it'll be open to the public. But it was a 1.5 year long project to redo that, and we tapped the expertise of a very good intern named Jenny Harris, who's from the city of Horicon. Her husband Jed is a dentist in town here, Jed Harris, and Jenny graduated with her master's degree from Johns Hopkins University in Museum Studies, and she's very talented and. She wants to be a large, natural history museum exhibit designer, and she brought those expertise and the focus of her master's degree to us, and we were able to, like I said, tap her talents to produce a really phenomenal veterans and military exhibit. So we're really excited about opening that up to the public.
Absolutely, and how very thoughtful to invite the veterans for that first peek of that, and that's always a big deal. Anytime you come, when you're talking about how it was a complete, tear down and redo, that is a big project to take on. So that'll be really nice to have that open for the veterans. First, you said on May 9th, the military exhibit.
Yeah, we're going to be having an open house for the veterans on May 9th in the evening from about 5:30 to 7:30, and people can come to the museum now and see the exhibit. It's accessible to the public now, but we wanted to have set aside a special night just for the veterans, area veterans. The American Legion in town has over 210 members, and we're hoping to get most of them down to see it.
That would be really nice. I hope you get a good turnout for that. Yeah. We're talking with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz this morning. They are with the Dodge County Historical Society. Kurt has been the curator there for 16 years. Patrick, you've been involved since 1991. Really appreciate you both being here this morning on Hometown Today, which is brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings and presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. And new to the Professional Floor Covering family is Pro Edge Sharpening Services. And this is is the time of year when you want to make sure your mower blades are sharpened, ready to go, along with those saw blades, your favorite garden tools. They'll sharpen the big stuff, the small stuff for you, really anything with an edge. And you'll find them right in the same location as Professional Floor Covering at 713 Park Avenue, just a different door. Pro Edge Sharpening Services in Suite D for you there. And of course, online at proedge.com. This is Hometown Today and your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
It might make
Hi, it's Randy from Professional Floor Covering, making sure you don't miss what's happening in your hometown. It's Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to Hometown Today here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. Looking forward to checking in with Sandy from McKinstry's Home Furnishings next hour. We'll get an update on how the celebration is going, how the big sale is going for their 166th anniversary sale, and also get some details on all the cool things that Sandy was able to see and experience here recently at High Point Market. This morning, joining us here on Hometown Today with the Dodge County Historical Society, we have curator Kurt Sampson with us and Patrick Lutz. Happy Friday, gentlemen, and thank you again for
Friday.
joining us.
Well, we're glad to be here.
We're also live streaming on Daily Dodge TV, and I was just going to share that Justin the Ninja Wilski has been putting up some really beautiful images, some great pictures of the Williams Free Library building. So for folks that are enjoying the live stream at dailydodge.com, they can see one of those really old photographs right now. It is such a beautiful building, and the Dodge County Historical Society made it its new home, its current home, all the way back in 1985.
Right, the library used it from 1890. That's when the building was completed.
Wow.
And they used it all the way up until 1985. Over the years, one of our major problems, and still is handicap accessibility. And that was one of the major reasons why they decided to go to a single-floor building like they have today. In the 1890s, when it was built, and I mentioned earlier, it was spectacular. And you think about Beaver Dam, when it was at that time there were probably between 4,000 and 5,000 people. So to have this huge structure, right in the middle of Beaver Dam, it was pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
So Mr. Williams, because it's named the Williams Free Library, he was a banker in the city of Beaver Dam, and just a great person as far as giving back to the community. So he donated $20,000 for the construction of the building, which today doesn't seem like it would do much of anything,
Yeah.
but back then that was a lot of money. And then there was also Mr. Drone, who donated money for the interior finishing because, excuse me, many times what would happen is the designs at that time, they would design the exterior of the building, but they didn't do anything with the interior. That was kind of left up to the owner then to hire somebody to do that part. So when the building was first constructed in the 1890s, it was considered a free library. And there's a couple different thoughts about, why is it called a free library? Because that was not the case in many times. And there's two different points or just thoughts about why they called it a free library. But the main thing is that it was free to anybody. Some libraries you had to have a special connection, or you had to join a certain society to be part of their libraries, because libraries sometimes were connected to trade unions and churches and different groups, and they would have their own libraries. But this was totally a free library, which also meant that you could wander around and pick your own books. Because another thing that some libraries had, where you had to go to a circulation desk and ask for a particular book, or they would take you to an area, but you weren't free to roam around, because we just think of that today as you go to the library, you just walk around and see what's available. But at that time, it was a little bit different. So when the building was built, it took them almost 2 years to complete it because they ran out of stone. That seems like, why would that happen? But most of the stone came from Wisconsin, the Waukesha area. And so it was hauled by rail and then pretty much dumped out onto the property that became the Williams Free Library. So we're really proud of that building just because of it's just beautiful. And if you haven't had a chance, of our listeners out there or viewers, check it out and just walk around the building and look at all of the detail that's in the stonework. It's just totally amazing. And it was all done by hand. And that's the interesting part. So they had to have stone cutters and masons working as they were putting that building together. We always tell people we have 3.5 stories of interesting things to look at, because we have the lower level, which was the basement, and I'll talk about what that was used for initially, and then our main level, and then in the 1950s they did a major remodel where they ended up putting in a balcony because they needed more space for the library on the main floor. And there's also the second floor, which was the children's library. And that was very popular. And I have people all the time that talk about, all their wonderful experiences going to the children's library on the second floor. So we have a lot of space, but when I first got involved in the 90s, they only used the first level. So it was only the first floor and not really even the balcony. But they didn't have as many artifacts. They had many of them stored away. And over the years, we've used pretty much the whole building. But then the basement, or the lower level, that was part of the Dodge County Lending Library. And that was something that counties had all over Wisconsin, where they would designate different businesses to be the drop-off point for a book. So you could order a book, call them, or even write them a letter, and they would drop the books off at different locations throughout Dodge County. So that was in the basement, so they didn't have access to that until they eventually moved out. And then also the basement was kind of considered like the boiler room, was where the furnaces were and that kind of thing. So over the years, we've remodeled the library to suit our needs and continually adding exhibit space, and we're doing that right now. We're taking a room that used to be the board room for the board of the Dodge County Historical Society and turning that into a space. But we've used just about every nook and cranny possible in that building to display all of our artifacts. So we have some storage in the building, but we really don't want to rent another space to store things, because usually what happens is out of sight, out of mind, that kind of thing. If it's there, we might forget about it, and we constantly want to have as much out as possible in the museum.
Absolutely. Patrick Lutz and Kurt Sampson with the Dodge County Historical Society with us here this morning on Hometown Today. I could just listen to you really forever. It's so interesting to hear that history and just how you've grown into that. And I had asked off air about the Rambler. Kurt, you had mentioned, that you have the first car in Beaver Dam, that Rambler. And so I had asked off air, well, is that like in the building? Do you have that on display? And yes, you do. So I need to get over there and check out all of these exhibits. So I'm like, I can visualize everything the next time that we're on the air together. Or we take Justin the Ninja Wilski on the road with us, and maybe we do our next show live from the Dodge County Historical Society. Yeah. Hometown Today, presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful, historic downtown Beaver Dam. And we will be checking in with Sandy next hour, find out how everything is going with their 166th anniversary sale, and also hear about some of the cool things she got to see and experience recently on her trip to the High Point Market. McKinstry's Home Furnishings, right now, they have their 166th anniversary sale happening through April 29th. And this is huge because not only is it a wonderful thing to celebrate that legacy of 166 years in business, they have everything in the store marked down for you. So you name it. If it is at McKinstry's, it really is on sale. That means bedroom sets and living room sets, end tables, lamps, mattresses. Everything at McKinstry's has been marked down for their 166th anniversary sale. And on top of that, delivery is free and financing is available for you as well. No payments until October. You can shop McKinstry's Home Furnishings Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30, and on Saturdays, 9 to 5. And as you are enjoying shopping McKinstry's Home Furnishings during their 166th anniversary sale, make sure that you get registered to win one of 4 great prizes that they are giving away through Monday, April 29th. Beautiful area rug for you to win, along with a Tiffany lamp, a Howard Miller clock, and a Lazy Boy recliner. All those great prizes for you to register to win as part of the fun and the celebration during the 166th anniversary sale at McKinstry's Home Furnishings. This is Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
this is Randy, owner of Professional Floor Covering, welcoming you back to Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Good morning and welcome back to Hometown Today here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Our Barn Show Happy Hour with the one and only Uncle Bill will hit the airwaves at a special time today due to the Bucks playoffs. Barn Show Happy Hour with Uncle Bill will hit the air at 3 o'clock today as the Bucks take on the Pacers. Game 3 of round 1. Series is tied 1-1. Pregame on the air at 4 o'clock today. So tune in for that Barn Show Happy Hour with Uncle Bill at 3 o'clock this afternoon on your Friday. That will definitely launch you into the weekend with a good start. Amy Hudson here in the Slumberland Furniture Studios. We are also streaming live on DailyDodge.com on Daily Dodge TV and continuing our conversation with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society. It's been really wonderful hearing about the history behind the building. The Williams Free Library building made that its new home back in 1985. And the building, Kurt, you had shared is on the National Registry of Historic Buildings. So that means we really need to keep it in tip-top shape and loved every minute of the day.
Yeah, that's right. And over the last couple of years, we've done some major building improvements. We've replaced a roof for the first time in nearly 50 years at least.
Yeah, pretty close to that, right?
A lot of the original roof that they tore off was the original slate roof from 1890.
Oh my goodness, that had to be a big job.
It was, and we were lucky too because a lot of the wood underneath the slate was still in really good shape, so they didn't have to replace any of that.
Good.
So it wasn't as big a project as we might have feared it would be, but that went a long way to helping us shore up the building with a lot of the issues we were having with a 130-year-old building. You know, you're going to have some issues, but getting that roof done helped us to begin the next project, which was repairing the ceilings and things.
What happened is COVID. You know, there's not many good things to say about it, but one of the few pluses was we were able to close the building for a period of time and start renovation of the ceiling on the main floor of the building.
Okay.
And that was the area where when you walked in, it was all this, these big patches of plaster that were falling from from the ceiling, and it looked terrible. But we didn't have the funds at the time, and we just thought, how are we going to do this and have the museum open? Mm-hmm. So that provided an opportunity to repair the ceilings. And we have an interesting board, and what I mean by that is that everybody has an interest and special skills that they bring. Okay. So we always say we have a working board. It's not a board where people just show up and they, say, oh, okay, everything's going really well.
Yeah, there's a big difference between an advisory board and a working board, so you're really blessed in that aspect.
So we are really fortunate to have Steve Hankus on the board, who is a painter and had his own painting company. Their family has a lot of history and painting in the Beaver Dam and Dodge County area, and Steve is the only member of the family that's still painting, and so we hired him to do restoration of the ceiling. So after we got that finished, it looked so good, we said, let's reimagine. So that's what we did. We thought, how can we make all of our displays look better? And so some of them needed freshening up, and we sometimes remove artifacts, sometimes we put new ones in. Kurt did a fantastic job with new signage. And it was a huge project that took almost a year. And so while we were closed, we created some new displays, but at the same time renovated the ones that we have. So that was really good. But just to get back to the building, besides the roof, and we have to thank John Newman and the city for coordinating all of that, and John for helping to push that, because it wouldn't have made any sense for us to repaint things that would be damaged by rain getting into the building again.
Right.
And it had been over many, many years. So once the roof was replaced, then we started tackling the project inside. So besides the roof, we also had all of the woodwork on the outside painted. We have original wood frames from the 1890s.
Oh, my goodness.
And we had volunteers that helped fix those, because if we tore them out, that would have been just a major project, and to find the same type of wood moldings that were part of the wood frames had been pretty difficult.
Sure.
So
very delicate.
Very delicate, right. So we had to find some products that are used for building restoration, and so we had to shore up and firm up some of the wood structure, and so then they could be painted. And then we also had a great relationship with Hometown to begin with, and so they helped us pick out appropriate windows because it's on the historic registry. You can't put any kind of window, and we were kind of joking we couldn't go out and get white vinyl windows that we could just slip in place. So they have to be something that that is consistent with the age of the building.
Sure.
And so Hometown was very helpful and great working with Jeff as always, and they gave us a heck of a deal. I tell people on the price, and we really appreciated that. And that just shows the support from the community and how people feel that this building is important. And excuse me. Then the other thing that we did was just general grounds. Making sure that the exterior of the building is going to look as best as it can. And again, we thank John Newman and his crew because we rent the building from the city. So the city actually owns the building. Sometimes people think it's our building, but we rent it. But we are responsible for anything on the interior of the building.
Okay. Yeah, and when you talk about the windows specifically there, Patrick, and the building being on the National Registry of Historic Buildings, you do have to, follow rules.
Sure.
You have obligations.
Right. There are certain guidelines that you have to
yeah.
follow, and that's what I mentioned about having something that looks appropriate for the time. So it couldn't be a more modern-looking window, but like I said, Jeff did a great job finding us a couple alternatives, and they did a super job putting them in as well. So we thank them very much. And so then we move on to our next projects, and there's, with a building that was built in 1890, there's always something.
It's a never-ending
right.
list.
It's either plumbing that we're dealing with, and that's something that we did on the inside is replaced all the plumbing fixtures that were installed in the 1950s.
Oh my goodness!
And so
the toilets and sinks.
toilets and sinks, and
all that glamorous
Restored
stuff.
Right,
the
yeah.
first floor bathroom and the basement bathroom, and
So, Kurt, you have been the curator of the Dodge County Historical Society for 16 years. Congratulations. That
Thank
is
you.
wonderful. You're welcome. Share with us some of your background and your history, how you came to be the curator at the Dodge County Historical Society, but what you're passionate about.
Well, I grew up in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, and in the 1980s, and in the late 1980s, I went to University of Wisconsin La Crosse, and even at a young age, I was always very interested in history and archaeology, and decided to actually pursue that as a profession. And a lot of people talk about, I want to be an archaeologist, but I actually decided that I was going to do this, and I was going to become an archaeologist and also have a background in history. History was actually my first love, but went to grad school or undergraduate at La Crosse, grad school at UW-Milwaukee. And one of the reasons I went to Milwaukee is because they're one of the few graduate programs in the upper Midwest that actually have a master's degree program in museum studies that's actually taught at the Milwaukee Public Museum by the Milwaukee Public Museum professionals. And at the time, I had also been working, I did about a 2-year internship with Dawn Sheridan, who was the curator of anthropology at the Milwaukee Public Museum, and then I ended up working at in the anthropology department for a period of time before I came to Dodge County. And this was around 2006, 2007. And at the time, Dodge County was doing a renovation of the Native American exhibit on the balcony that Patrick mentioned that was built into the first floor exhibit space. And at the time, Mary Beth Jacobson, who was our curator, who is now on our board, she had retired and moved on to the board. They were looking for somebody that had a background in archaeology to help them go through their Native American collection to type the artifacts and to give them a little bit of advice about how to properly display those types of artifacts. So I actually ended up coming to Dodge County as an intern, working for the museum, and I was there doing that I was doing it, it was stretched out over about a 4 or 5 month period where I was coming up there on my own time a couple times a week. I was still finishing up my master's thesis at the time, which I had to defend and then do some rewrites and some things. And then eventually what happened at the latter half of 2008, I think it was, it's been so long ago, Mary Beth decided that she wanted to retire. And, if you remember at the time in 2008, the economy wasn't doing so great, and a lot of people were looking for work, and including myself, just getting fresh out of grad school with a master's degree in archaeology and museum studies. I did a dual master's program. And so one way to put it, I was kind of in the right place at the right time at Dodge County. They were looking for a curator, and I had gotten to know the board and the collections from being an intern there for several months, helping with the Native American exhibit. And so I applied for the job and eventually was hired as a curator and have been there ever since. And, I've been very, very fortunate to be at Dodge County over these years. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization. And like Patrick said, we have an outstanding board, a working board, as he likes to call it. And I like to use that term as well. And they're very hands-on and very involved and care a lot about not only the building, but the artifacts and the organization and the community itself. And I've just been really blessed to be there all these years. Yeah.
And we're happy to have them as well.
Well, and Patrick, you've been involved since 1991. So how did you come to be a part of the Dodge County Historical Society?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. It didn't even start in the building itself. It started at Swan Park, which is still one of my favorite parks. It was
beautiful.
Our Beaver Dam's very first park, but I didn't really know that much about it. But my wife and I, as we moved to Beaver Dam in 1980, we were just driving around the area and saw the spring house at the park and thought, well, this is kind of an interesting looking structure. I wonder what it is. So we stopped, and there was the marker, because that also, the spring house at the park is also on the National Registry of Historic Places. And I read about it, and I thought, and it mentioned that Swan Park had been a health spa at one time. And so I thought, well, this is very interesting. So we went to the Dodge County Historical Society, which was at the Chamber Building, which at that time was the Historical Society. And Joanne Wells, who was a longtime curator, she was there, and she started talking all about these things and said, boy, maybe you should read the 1941 centennial book for Dodge County. And so she said, maybe you'd like to buy one. So I did. And that's kind of we call it our Bible, our historic Bible, because they did a fantastic job in 1941 of putting the first 100 years of Beaver Dam history together. But then it had a section in that book that talked all about Swan Park and the history. So I thought, well, this sounds interesting. So then I started going back and talking to Joanne Wells, and then she found out what I did, and I was a teacher, and was there any way that I could build some display cases, because I taught tech ed at the school, and so I had classes where I had students where if they were looking for projects, sometimes they would do community projects, and so we ended up building some display units for Joanne, and that's how it all started. And then eventually I became a board member and then helped write the history book for the 150th anniversary of Beaver Dam. And that was fun. I would actually go to the citizen office, and they had their own library there, which, housed large books of newspapers. So they'd been bound. So they had all the newspapers going way back into the late 1800s, and my job was to do the 1970s. And so then I helped write that section for the history book from 1991. The problem is I would start reading those newspapers, I'd never get anything really finished because they were so interesting to find out what was happening, because we were trying to find highlights from the 70s. And so I would schedule time, and you actually had to schedule a time because many people were using that library for research. And I would be in there, and finally I just had to say, okay, I cannot look beyond anything besides the first page of each one of the newspapers, because I get into it and I read the next article, and
You had to set rules for
right, I had to
yourself
set
to make
rules
sure
for
you got your work
myself.
done.
Right, yeah. So that was fun, and so I got to know a lot about Beaver Dam history, and then being on the board really helped.
Sure.
And then the other thing I started doing was doing tours of Beaver Dam, walking tours of the downtown area, and that required me to learn a lot more about the buildings in the downtown area and history of the whole city actually. And that's been fun. I've done bus tours for different groups. Some of bus tours for classes, high school classes who have come back for reunions. I've done a medical tour for the hospital where the early medical facilities were, and lots of walking tours of the downtown area.
Nice.
And I enjoy doing that because the people are always just so happy to learn about things they never knew about Beaver Dam, even though they lived here all their lives. And then also people who just recently moved here. And one of our favorite days is the Leadership Beaver Dam group. They have History Day, Beaver Dam history, and then part of that is we have them come to the museum, but then also I do a tour of the downtown area. And many of them are younger people who have just moved here recently and know nothing about the town, and they're always like, wow, this is so cool to learn about all these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a history minor, and that's, I think, another part of why I became
Don't let him
interested.
fool you. He's a bigger history geek than I am. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. We're talking this morning with Patrick Lutz and Kurt Sampson with the Dodge County Historical Society here on Hometown Today, which is brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam, and presented by Professional Floor Covering Your Floor, and so much more. And they can easily help you renovate your bathroom. It does not have to be intimidating. Of course, they can help you with the latest waterproof flooring in your bathroom, but always also with that new walk-in shower, and then a vanity and a countertop, and then poof, like magic, it is all done and updated. Stop in and talk with Randy and the team. Have that free in-store consultation, and they're happy to come on over to your place and do those free in-home measures and quotes for you as well. Professional Floor Covering Your Floor, and so much more. We'll be checking in with Sandy from McKinstry's Home Furnishings next hour, and then at 11:10 this morning on Taking Care of Business, it is Senior Solutions with your Hire Insurance team. We will continue our conversation with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society here on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
From Lake Mississippi to Big Green and everything in between, we're talking about what's happening in your hometown. This is Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome back to Hometown Today here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. And looking forward to checking in with Sandy at McKinstry's Home Furnishings. We'll be talking with her probably, close to the bottom of the hour, getting the latest on all the happenings as part of their 166th anniversary sale, and also hearing about some of the cool things Sandy was able to see and experience a couple weeks ago at the High Point Market. Enjoying our conversation this morning with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society. And I love that as we were coming into the show, we probably could hear Patrick talking a little bit because there's so much to talk about regarding the Dodge County Historical Society. It's been really wonderful having each of you here this morning to talk about the history behind the Dodge County Historical Society, the Williams Free Library building at 105 Park Avenue, which is the current home to the Dodge County Historical Society. And each of you have such a robust love for history. And Kurt, I can't remember if you said it on air or off air, but you're like two big history geeks right here, which
right
is what
here.
makes you
Yeah,
a
right.
wonderful,
That's right.
wonderful combination. We're lucky to have each of you involved with the Dodge County Historical Society. Let's talk about services that are offered through the Dodge County Historical Society. People might be surprised by this and interested to know what they are.
Well, I'm gonna let Kurt just mention some of the things that he deals with, but people do bring in things they want us to look at, and they're wondering if they're actually authentic or not. And we never do anything for value. What I mean
like
by that,
Antiques Roadshow.
exactly, where we will not tell people what we think it's worth or anything like that. We'll just authenticate it and help them do a little bit more investigation about the artifact. So that's one of the things that, and we have a lot of people that do bring things in, and one of the things we don't do guns. We want to just mention that.
Okay.
So every once in a while, there are people that do bring antique guns in, but we have our own collection there that's secure, and we'd rather not have somebody walk in the museum with a gun.
Sure.
So just for safety purposes. So, but we have a lot of interesting things that people bring in, and they sometimes have found them in Dodge County along the road or as they're tearing down a building, and we'd love to see those things because sometimes then they just say, well, why don't you keep it? And that's one of the neat things about doing that. So, Kurt?
Absolutely.
So yeah, we offer a lot of services, which basically include genealogy research. If anybody wants to come in, if they have ancestors that date way back to the earliest parts of the 1800s of Dodge County, we can help them research that. Family properties, family histories. We have, in some cases, family histories that were given to us. A lot of times people will come in and they think that we will have a lot of information about a particular family or a person. That's not always the case. Sometimes the only way we really have a family history is if somebody actually gives it to us. But we do have all of the known history books for this region and Dodge County. And oftentimes a lot of those early settlers or families and things are mentioned in those resources. So we can look through those resources to find that information. We do actually have Past Perfect on our computer, so we can help them, not Past Perfect, what's the genealogy site?
Well,
What's the
put me on the
genealogy
spot
site?
right now. Yeah.
Two history geeks. I can't remember the genealogy site. But anyway, so we can help research genealogy online, and we also have a complete history of the county and the city, of course. And we also, in our archives, we have thousands of documents and photographs of people, places, and things that are all segregated into categories that people are welcome to look through and research particular topics if they want to come in and find out the history of the Dodge County Fair or Swan City Park or something like that. We offer museum tours to high school and middle school groups if they contact us. We're always open for that, or private tours of people that contact me directly that want to come in, possibly after hours or something like that. We also do a lot of we also have a lot of public speakers that come in. We usually do that in the winter months when things kind of slow down a little bit and people aren't getting out as much. We try to get people into the museum by having a lot of special speakers that come in and talk about a wide variety of history topics. As Patrick mentioned, we do a lot of artifact identification, and not only for history, but for prehistory as well. Being an archaeologist, I'm an expert in Wisconsin prehistory, so if people have artifacts that they want to bring in that they found in the county or surrounding region, we can help them identify that as well. But as Patrick mentioned, we don't do valuations on anything. And typically when you have an artifact that has some type of value, generally you're only going to get as much as somebody's willing to pay you for something if you're trying to sell, some type of an artifact or something like that. So we don't, we stay away from that type of thing. We're about preservation and curation, not about selling artifacts and things like that. As Patrick also mentioned, we do a lot of historic walking tours. Patrick handles that. Usually, Patrick really is one of the foremost experts on Beaver Dam history and Dodge County history. So he does a wonderful job with the walking tours and the bus tours. And over the years, I've done a few archaeological related bus tours that we offer occasionally, where we go around the county and we visit prehistoric sites, especially sites like Nitschke Mounds County Park, where there are ancient burial mounds that people can walk in and amongst.
Well, and I know that we'll be touching on some of those special historic sites in Beaver Dam too before we wrap up our conversation here this morning. So looking forward to that. We're also going to talk about famous people from Beaver Dam and hear about some of the special events that you host and upcoming events along with haunting experiences. So
Absolutely.
all kinds of cool things to talk about here this morning with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society here on Hometown Today, which is brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings and presented by Professional Floor Covering Your Floor and so much more. And if you're planning on getting out to play in the dirt, dig in the garden, mow the lawn, make sure that everything you need to get that work done is sharp and ready to go. Pro Edge Sharpening Services will sharpen anything with an edge. So, yep, that means your mower blades, your saw blades, your garden tools, personal tools, commercial tools, the big stuff and the small stuff. Pro Edge Sharpening Services is where you can take that to get all those things ready to go. It's a division of Professional Floor Covering. You will find them at the same location that you do find Professional Floor Covering at 713 Park Avenue, just behind a different door. Pro Edge Sharpening Services in Suite D and online at proedge.com. This is Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
When the
Covering. You're listening to Hometown Today on the 5,000 watt flamethrower on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Happy Friday. Good morning and welcome back to Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor and so much more, and brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. Looking forward to checking in with Sandy from McKinstry's this hour, and also continuing our conversation with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society. Thank you again, gentlemen, for being here with us this morning. It is very much appreciated.
Thank you as well.
As we were bumping back in from the break, you had mentioned something about McKinstry's Home Furnishings. We will be checking in with Sandy. But, you know, when we think about those special historic sites in Beaver Dam, and looking forward to hearing about what those are, what we want to highlight. But you also mentioned McKinstry's Home Furnishings as part of that group too.
Right. As I mentioned earlier, I've done many walking tours of the downtown area, and that's one place we stop and we talk about it, and people are always so surprised that the longevity of this one family operation. And the store itself is very historic. The buildings, and one part of the building was the Odd Fellows Club that met upstairs, and that's an interesting group, and people always ask me about that. But the building itself is really cool. When my wife and I first came to town as young teachers, we went there, and the McKinstry family was so welcoming, but also helped us pick out furniture that within our price range, and we've bought a lot of furniture there over the years, and really big shout out to Sandy and Rick and for all the good things that they do. But that's part of my history walk, and people from out of town they're amazed that it's been around for that long. But just mentioning some other historic buildings in town, earlier we mentioned about where the Historical Society was located, and it's a 3-story building in the downtown area, and as I mentioned earlier, also it's most people refer to it as the Gergen Law Office building, but there's so much history with that. The second floor of that building, when it was built, was used for city offices, and there was actually manufacturing that went on in that. There was an overall factory that was on the second floor, and then there was a town hall on the third floor. And if you get a chance and you're walking around, there's a historic marker on that building. So we spent a lot of time talking about it because there's even a book written about that building.
Oh, wow.
And it's called Town Hall Tonight. And we were just talking about this yesterday down at the museum, but there was a man named Harlow Hoyt who wrote the book. He was from Beaver Dam, went on to become a famous drama critic, and did a whole bunch of things with plays and drama. But the town hall was really a big deal in every community. If they were a community of any size, even Oak Grove had a town hall, a little town, and Horicon, and you just go all around everybody. A town hall where it was a community center where they would have political speakers, plays, traveling speakers, and just used for all kinds of civic events. And that was the place in Beaver Dam as well. And we don't think about it because it's at this point, the building's getting a little bit older. It's kind of fallen into disrepair. I know the owners want to do some things in the future to fix it up, but that's a really important thing in the history of Beaver Dam because of all the events that were there. Of course, our own building, and then Swan Park. So I go up and down the street and can talk about just about every building, where the first telephones were installed. That's kind of a fun one that people like because when they installed it, it was a pool hall, and they called them machines. They didn't call them telephones. So when they first installed them in this building, they were only able to communicate with people in a couple of towns, and one of them was Watertown. So what would happen is that you'd talk to the machine, and you'd hope somebody on the other end, and they'd say, "You're really in Watertown, and I'm talking to you?" And then they say, "Well, will you go to my Aunt Betty's or Uncle John's house and go get them?" And they'd run down the street and bring them so they could talk on this telephone. And so they thought it was going to be a novelty, and the store that it was located in is about the middle of the block on Front Street. And after about a week, people were lined up around the corner. I mean, there were so many people that wanted to just try this new talking device, the telephone machine. So that's kind of a neat story. So all around the Beaver Dam area, as I said, I could talk about every building at length.
Well, so interesting. And I know that one of the people that we were planning on talking with this morning, and what timing for us to be talking about some of those wonderful historic sites in Beaver Dam to coincide with talking with Sandy at McKinstry's Home Furnishings. Good morning and happy Friday, Sandy. Welcome to Hometown Today.
Good morning.
So nice to hear from you. Congratulations and happy anniversary. The big 166th anniversary sale happening through April 29th. How is everything going, Sandy? Fill us in.
Well, it's going wonderful. We kicked it off with the Right to Win program last Saturday.
Yeah.
The promotion we did with the radio station. And so we gave away some great prizes. Along with that, we are offering some other prizes that people can sign up through the 29th at 5 p.m. We're going to do the drawing. We're giving away a recliner, a Tiffany lamp, an area rug, and a clock. So stop in, even if you don't need furniture right now, just stop in and sign up to win one of those items.
These are really amazing items, Sandy, that folks can register to win. You said a clock, the Howard Miller clock. Those are just so beautiful. Tiffany lamps are absolutely gorgeous. That beautiful area rug and a Lazy Boy recliner. I hope that your registration box is overflowing with folks that are getting registered to win those great prizes through Monday, April 29th.
We hope to get more people. We can always use more sign-ups.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything in the store, everything at McKinstry's Home Furnishings marked down as you celebrate your 166th anniversary. Did you keep Rick busy marking everything down in the store?
Well, it was mostly me and the girls.
When he called in when you were out a few weeks ago at the High Point Market, I asked him if he was, keeping everything, as it should be in your absence, and he assured us all that he was. So hopefully there were no shenanigans while you were gone at the High Point Market. But we want to hear what you saw and what you experienced at the High Point Market.
I mean, it was just amazing. High Point, North Carolina, I think it's a city of about 100,000 people, and a lot of the downtown area is all just different showrooms of furniture and accessories, and we bought a lot. We've already received some of the shipments. There's end tables that came in, some cabinets, a whole bunch of lamps just came in. We got them on the floor yesterday. Soon accessories will be here. That shipment, probably next week on that shipment. We're getting more end tables next week. And there's just so much coming in. And in the next 2 months, it's just going to, we're having so much more product. It's going to be amazing. It's just so much fun.
We look forward to hearing about all those new things that you continue to get in at McKinstry's Home Furnishings. And one of the things that we've learned this morning from our guests, Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society, is that your beautiful building where McKinstry's Home Furnishings is part of Patrick's walking tour in downtown Beaver Dam.
Yes, we have seen him come by with many tours.
That is wonderful. Well, we definitely want folks to know that the 166th anniversary sale at McKinstry's Home Furnishings continues through April 29th. Everything in the store is marked down. Delivery is free for folks. You offer financing available with no payments until October. Folks can shop Monday through Friday until 5:30. Saturday, enjoy shopping McKinstry's Home Furnishings from 9 to 5. And those great prizes, Sandy, let folks know again what those 4 great prizes are that they can continue to get registered to win through Monday, April 29th.
So we have a Lazy Boy recliner, a Tiffany lamp, a Howard Miller mantel clock, and an area rug.
Happy anniversary to you and the team at McKinstry's Home Furnishings, Sandy. We really appreciate all that you do for downtown Beaver Dam and for us here at Good Karma. Happy anniversary. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. I just wanted to put one more little plug in. Remember, tomorrow is the Earth Day celebration in downtown Beaver Dam, so come and get involved with that.
Oh, my goodness, absolutely. And it really kicks off with that big trash pickup happening from 9 to 10:30. Folks can gather real close to you at the American Bank Square there for the downtown DBDI cleanup. And the annual tree planting is happening tomorrow. The electronics recycling tomorrow from 9 to noon. That'll be in the Tower parking lot behind 210 South Spring Spring Street, and that tree planting and ceremony at 10:45. A lot of fun and prizes will be happening. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Thank you. A lot will be happening in downtown Beaver Dam tomorrow, and bddowntown.com is where folks can go for more of those details. It's going to be a big day in downtown Beaver Dam and at McKinstry's Home Furnishings.
It will be. As soon as you're done helping out, come on in and sign up for those prizes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sandy. Make it a great day.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Sandy with McKinstry's Home Furnishings as they celebrate their 166th anniversary sale through April 29th. And really thankful that she also mentioned that tomorrow is a big day in downtown Beaver Dam, part of their Earth Day celebration. And again, please get those details at bddowntown.com. We will continue our conversation with Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society when we return here on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Randy, owner of Professional Floor Covering, and you're listening to Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Good morning, happy Friday, all that good stuff. Welcome back to Hometown Today here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. And brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam. We're talking this morning with Kurt Sampson, the curator at the Dodge County Historical Society, and Patrick Lutz. Patrick, are you still currently on the board? You're an active board member?
I'm currently the president.
Oh my goodness, that just made me sit up a little straighter in my chair. We are also streaming live on Daily Dodge TV at dailydodge.com. And, you know, we've touched off and on this morning just about famous people from Beaver Dam. And I was joking as we went into a break early on here in Hometown Today, like, oh, is there a Star Wars connection to Beaver Dam? There is a Beaver Dam Wall of Fame.
Yes, there is. And
let's talk about that.
We're really proud of that.
Yeah.
And the whole city of Beaver Dam should be as well, because the people lived here for a period of time or were actually born in Beaver Dam, and they have gone on to do things not just that made them famous in Wisconsin, but worldwide. And Kurt, I know, is going to be talking about a couple of those in just a minute, but I just want to mention that we have some people who have done some amazing things. We many times think about Fred McMurray, who went on to be a star in television and made all kinds of movies. And another historian from Beaver Dam I want to do a shout out, and that's Roger Knoll, and he's done many presentations about Fred McMurray, and he's really the authority on Fred. And we're lucky to have Roger, too, because he's always doing research on Beaver Dam. But the famous people are just average people who went on to do wonderful things, and we just love to talk about them. We can spend a lot of time in one little corner of our museum going through each one individually and talking about all of their accomplishments. So, Kurt, if you want to take off on that.
Yeah, you know, despite Fred McMurray, we have a famous baseball pitcher named Pink Hawley, who around the turn of the last century, when baseball was really getting going, was a very prominent pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates and for the New York Yankees. We have a very prominent science fiction writer, for those of you that are interested in science fiction. And really, when it got started in the late 1940s, 50s, and 60s, there's a gentleman that grew up in Beaver Dam named Raymond Gallum. And we were joking around about our intern, Jenny Harris, who's a big Star Wars fan. And then you had just kind of joked about, well, is there a Star Wars connection to Beaver Dam? Well, in fact, there is a minor connection where I actually read an interview a couple years ago where George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, actually mentioned that as a boy growing up in the 50s and 60s, that he was actually influenced by Ray Gallum's writings. And Ray was produced over 100 short stories in his time as an author. And he was, interestingly, the first person to write about aliens in a friendly manner, as being a friendly sentient being instead of an adversary. So Ray, I even remember in the early 70s being a small boy where some of my older brothers, who are 8, 9 years older than me, having Ray Gallum books that I remember seeing the covers of and picking them up and paging through them. And he was there are science fiction writing awards that are named after Ray Gallum. So he was a very prominent writer and science fiction writer.
I'm going to jump in real quick. We have one of our murals downtown, so we're really happy that there's one dedicated to him, and that's on South Spring Street, very near Uga, and a really nice mural dedicated to him. And so I read his short stories, the best short stories, and I was amazed at his in-depth study of of science fiction, but also approaching it in a different way, because we always think about aliens coming from outer space. He also had them coming from below the ocean. So there would be like these alternate, people living under the ocean and different structures that they created. And so I thought that was interesting. So Kurt, jump back.
Yeah,
in.
he was just a really prolific writer about all these types of things, and we have a number of his works in the museum that you can check out, and a display about him. And who else should we talk about? Probably
there was a number of people who were involved in stage and acting. One of them is Eric Kalkhurst, who ended up going to Hollywood and ended up doing all kinds of things with Hollywood, but really it was really well known as being a person who helped people transition from the silent movies to talking pictures. So many of us have read stories about that some of the early people in silent films did not have good vocal quality. So for them to switch, it was like, oh my gosh, and they were scared too, because they would have to actually speak into the microphones. And so he helped some of these early people then work on their presentation styles and linguistics and all of this. And so he was famous for that and well known. And so we have a lady, Mary Spellman, who was a well-loved teacher in Beaver Dam, who was Wisconsin's first female mayor.
Oh, wow.
So that's a really,
yeah.
that's a really cool
In
thing.
1933, Beaver Dam had a socialist mayor named Ray Weaver, who was a World War I veteran, and there was a lot of union strife at that time in the city. And a lot of the people weren't real happy with how he was handling it. So some of Mary Spellman's former students, she started teaching in a one-room schoolhouse in the 1880s and taught school for 52 years.
Oh, my goodness.
And at the age of 73, right when she was retiring, they convinced her to run for mayor. And as Patrick mentioned, she was a two-time mayor and Wisconsin's first female mayor. And so, yeah, she was a pretty interesting individual. There's an interesting story about her where during a 4th of July parade that they have on the downtown strip, she was struck in the jaw and throat by an errant bullet, because years ago men used to take their sidearms out and just shoot them up in the air for celebration. And she was hit by a ricocheted bullet. And then several years later, she had a coughing fit and actually coughed the bullet out. But she had spent.
Is that a wives' tale?
No, it's not. It's a true. It's an absolute true story.
Wow.
And she spent a considerable amount of time in a sanatorium trying to recover from the gunshot wound, and then they were never able to take the bullet out for whatever reason. And then eventually she actually coughed it out. That's a true story.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, one other woman I want to mention who's really important to Beaver Dam also is the world champion women's speed skater, Maddie Horn, who grew up in Beaver Dam and learned how to skate right on Beaver Dam Lake out here and on various ponds around town. And she pretty much dominated the sport of speed skating in the late 1920s and early or through the 1930s. And she was on the American Olympic team going to Europe in 1940. But unfortunately, Hitler came into power and invaded Poland. And because of the war, the United States pulled their athletes out of the Olympics, and she missed her opportunity to compete for a gold medal. But at the time, she was the female world skating champion, and she still holds one record, I believe, for what they called the I think it's like the 220 race or whatever. But something like that. my history is a little fuzzy, but
then we're all in trouble.
She still holds a speed record for like the 200-yard dash or something like that in skating, which is pretty remarkable when you consider the athletes that we have today and the training that athletes actually go through today.
We're talking about some of those famous folks that are part of the Beaver Dam Wall of Fame that you can take a look at and enjoy at the Dodge County Historical Society. Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society with us here this morning on Hometown Today, which is brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam, and presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. This is your go-to place when you are looking to upgrade flooring throughout your home. Brand names for every look and need throughout your home, whether it's LVP, that luxury vinyl plank, maybe it's porcelain tile or hardwood, maybe you need carpet, area rugs. Randy and the team can help you with flooring throughout your home and also help you easily upgrade your kitchen and your bath. So stop in, have a conversation, have that free in-store consultation with Randy and the team at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam. Professional floor covering your floor and so much more. This is Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hey, it's Randy from Professional Floor Covering, bringing together friends and neighbors on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome back to Hometown Today here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. We are also streaming live this morning on Daily Dodge TV, so check us out at dailydodge.com. This morning, we are joined by Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society. It's really been a lot of fun having you guys with us here this morning on Hometown Today. Thank you again. We appreciate your time. And it's been so interesting. I mean, we've covered a lot between the history, with Dodge County Historical Society itself, the home that you currently have at the Williams Free Library building. Really wonderful, Patrick, to have you share so many things about the history just, with the building alone and everything that you have there throughout, the different exhibits, the famous people folks can check out on the Beaver Dam Wall of Fame. And as if you guys weren't busy enough doing all of these things and taking good care of that building, you also have special events that are coming up and really cool events that we want to make sure we talk about this morning so folks don't miss them, because days go by fast. Those days turn into weeks, and we want to get these dates on calendars.
Well, we do a lot throughout the year, and as I mentioned earlier, we have a working board, so people are sometimes interested in one thing, or they specialize in one thing they like to do, and I want to do a shout out to Kathy Barnett, who does our October Cemetery Walk, where it's one of our few fundraisers that we do throughout the year. But it's at the old cemetery, which is on University, North University, and she does a great job, because what we do is we have an opportunity there for people to learn about people from the past. People walk through the cemetery, and then we have presenters come to life at each one of the grave markers, and they talk about themselves. And so you learn about the people, the early settlers in Beaver Dam, and that's a very popular thing. So we want to shout out to Kathy for that, because she puts that whole thing together.
Wow.
But we're really happy that we've been able to get more involved in the downtown area of Beaver Dam. Because of our iconic structure, we just feel we got to let people know that we're here as well.
Absolutely.
And for many years, it was like people didn't want to cross the street to come over, because they thought, well, what is that building? It's not the library. What is it? And so we're very welcoming of new people to come in, and during our break I mentioned that we have people come in and say, I haven't been in here since 1985 when the library was still here, but they have so many great memories. And then they come in and spend a couple hours and say, I've got to come back. I mean, this is a really cool place. And we've tried to and we tried to put a lot of emphasis on younger people as well. So it isn't just this old dusty museum that's all old things from the past, but we have some children's areas where they can have hands-on activities, and we're excited about that.
Oh, nice.
But one of the major things I want to talk about this morning is our connection with the Peonies Festival, which is coming up very quickly. In fact, our signs are going to go up next week promoting our activities. So we are one of the bigger events on the Friday, and that's on June 7th. We have our third annual Ghost Story Festival coming up, and that's from 7:30 to 9, and it's free. And we try to have as many free activities as we possibly can. So we put this together because of a number of kind of scary things that happened at our own building. And
Yikes.
sometimes we cause them, but sometimes there's interesting that happens when you have a 1890s building, and everybody there, even some of our doubters, have said, I've had some strange things or strange feelings when I've been in the building. And from that, we said, well, we should have a ghost story festival that kind of ties in with some of the stories. And this year, we're going to tell some of those stories, because we have a number of board members who were doubters and said, oh, that's not, I just don't believe in that. And they've had things happen to them where they're saying, I think I believe now.
Sometimes it takes an actual experience.
Exactly, and there's we aren't seeing like Casper the Friendly Ghost or anything like that, or anything from Ghosts in the Museum, that movie, but just little things that we think that's a little strange.
Yeah.
So the Ghost Story Festival, people are welcome to come. It's free. It's behind the building. We use the backdrop of our wonderful building for the stage. And we have professional lighting and sound. We encourage people to bring lawn chairs. We'll have some seating, but it's best just to bring your own chairs. And we've been averaging over 300 people each
wow.
time.
That's
and
great.
they're
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And we're kind of squeezed them between the chamber building and then the back of the Historical Society. But we have a children's story that's going to be told by Ginny Hankus. She's a teacher, a retired teacher, and she's going to be starting it off. Then we're going to one we call Stories from the Museum, and that's going to be some real things that happen to people, interesting things that. Quirky things that have happened to them when they've been at the building by themselves or with another board member, and so that's going to be part of it. And then we have a professional ghost storyteller. His name is David Drake from Milwaukee, and he's going to talk about ghost ship stories. So that's going to be a really cool one because in the early days when it was wooden ships sailing across the ocean and more people were coming from Europe, there were times when ships would, people on board would contract diseases, and actually everybody would die on the ship, and these ships would float around for years with no one alive on the ship.
Wow.
So he's going to tell some stories, and then he also does some music that's connected with the shipfaring people. And then we're happy to have back Jessica Schultz, and she is she's an actress and very involved in theater in the Hartford area and Slinger, and she does a fantastic job. And she used to work for their special events at Old World, Wisconsin. And then we have a special guest, and
Very talented.
which we call the scariest ghost story. And we're not telling everybody who it's going to be. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be Kurt. But we have special guests who will be doing that, and it's just kind of a fun evening, and we just move it right along, and it's a fun event, good family event.
Yeah.
Lots of families come, and they're always amazed that that this is even taking place. But it's one of the things that we sponsor. Then on Saturday we have our famous lawn party that we've been doing for years, long before even the Peonies Festival, and that's on June 8th, and it starts at 10 o'clock and goes until 3. One of the things that draws a lot of people, and we've been doing for years and years, is root beer floats. Free root beer floats. And
Free root beer
yes,
floats?
right.
How can you go wrong, right?
Right, you can't go wrong. And we have to thank one of our board members and longtime former president as well, Glenn Link, helps us get that set up. We have antique cars. We're going to have an antique fire engine. Flint napping. Kurt, will you talk about that real quick?
Yeah, we're going to have some area artifact collectors, people that walk farm fields and find prehistoric artifacts. And many of them are quite accomplished flint nappers. And what flint napping is in a nutshell is where you actually take stone tools and make stone tools, like arrowheads and things like that. So there'll be some demonstrations of that on the lawn as well.
All right. We also have the Caboose, which is near our building, and that'll be open for tours. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the younger people have never seen a caboose and are not sure what they were used for. And even some adults come in and they say, when I was a child, I always wave at the person in the caboose. But they're never quite sure what they were used for, but they had a very important purpose.
Have
so
you ever
they'll
been
learn
in a
about
caboose
that
before?
I have not, but I've seen that caboose.
Yes, right.
And it's a fun word to say, caboose.
Right, and that was all done with volunteers, and they had a fund drive and had that installed there. And that's actually in the original road bed where the railroad tracks went past and when they came into Beaver Dam, where they passed the depot. And that we have music and a group called the Characters, and they perform all over the Dodge County area, 50s, 60s, and 70s music, and they'll be playing out in front of the building. And again, it's all free, and we're really excited. And then the other thing I want to mention is on Sunday, it's not part of our activities, but they're using our green space, and the UW Marching Band is going to be doing a stop there because they're going to be all over the city of Beaver Dam on Sunday, June 9th, but they're going to be stopping using our little stage area to do one of their performances. And Mike LeCrone's going to be there, and the former director. So we're really excited about that whole weekend.
It's a big weekend.
Yes.
And don't forget, Patrick himself will be doing a walking tour at 1 o'clock, which will meet right in front of the building at 1 o'clock. So if you want to hear one of Patrick's famous walking tours, be at the lawn party at 1 o'clock, and Patrick will do about an hour-long tour of the downtown area.
I try to keep it to an hour. I have a hard time doing that.
Where can folks go for more information about all the fun event stuff that you just mentioned, Patrick, and learn more about the Dodge County?
Well, we are on social media on Facebook, so they can go on there and check it out. And we do a lot of posting on all the area county Facebook pages and things, and on our website as well, so they can check those areas out.
And I hope that you'll come back and visit with us again. This has really been
Absolutely,
wonderful.
absolutely love to, and we
So-
really appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time and everything that you shared with us this morning. And before we get to that big weekend, for the Wisconsin Arts and Peony Festival, I'm hoping that you'll be able to come back and join us again here in Hometown
Yes,
today.
that would be great.
All right.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Kurt Sampson and Patrick Lutz with the Dodge County Historical Society with us here this morning on Hometown Today, which is brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings in beautiful historic downtown Beaver Dam, and presented by Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. Randy and the team can easily help you renovate your bathroom, upgrade your kitchen, and of course with flooring throughout your home with the top brands for every look and need. Professional Floor Covering, your floor, and so much more. The Hire Insurance team joins us at 11:10 for Senior Solutions on Taking Care of Business here on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.